Minister, Excellencies, thank you very much, Mr. Lowry, for such a generous introduction. And let me say at the outset, it is wonderful for Sue and for me to be back in New York and among so many good friends. It's an honor to receive this prestigious medal on behalf of His Highness the Aga Khan and the Global Center for Pluralism. His Highness asked me to convey his deep appreciation to the board of the Foreign Policy Association and to Noel Latif, its president. He has been a real admirer of the FPA ever since he was an undergraduate at Harvard. Now, Alex gave a good introduction to him, about him to you. I would simply add that he's both a faith leader as the Imam of the Ismaili Muslims and a major global philanthropist who has devoted his life to making the world a better place for all, regardless of faith or ethnicity. And as Alex said, in the past 2 decades, he has founded 2 major new institutions in Canada, the Global Center for Pluralism in Ottawa and the Aga Khan Museum in Toronto. And Peter Kimmelman and Elbrun have been up to the museum, and I think they would echo what I would say is that you all must come, because it is a spectacular museum that showcases his family's extraordinary collection of Islamic art. I'm also delighted that the leadership of the Ismaili community in this country are at this wonderful dinner tonight. And I'm honored to be here at the same time as Dr. David Skorton, Secretary of the Smithsonian. He achieved great things at Cornell and now at the Smithsonian, and it is very flattering for our young organization to be even mentioned in the same words, but to be recognized alongside the Smithsonian. I think that this was Noel's reasoning, and I think it very much holds up, that our mandates intersect. As I understand it, the Smithsonian is all about explaining and communicating the rich strands of American history and culture, while our Global Center for Pluralism is about respecting and indeed celebrating diversity in this country, in Canada, and in the world. As His Highness once said, diversity is not a reason to put up walls, but rather to open windows. It is not a burden, it is a blessing. In the end, of course, he said, we must realize that living with diversity is a challenging process. We are wrong to think it will be easy. The work of pluralism is always a work in progress. Now, behavioral science has long taught that the best solutions emerge when people of different experiences and perspectives are brought together to solve a problem. It's the same in societies. As Tom Friedman has argued persuasively in his new book, Thank You for Being Late, in the 21st century, the countries that will be most successful will be those which value their diversity. My center's thesis is that every society in the contemporary world is diverse in some way, whether social, linguistic, ethnic, tribal, or religious diversity, and that this is true for all continents, for Africa and Asia, for North and South America, and Europe, and for developing countries, the emerging powers, and the industrialized countries alike. If that diversity is accommodated and valued, it will lead to greater peace and prosperity. But the opposite holds true too. If diversity is seen as an element of weakness or division, it leads to discord and bad social outcomes, less peace, less development, less prosperity, and at worst, civil strife or genocide. But it occurs to me I really should say, what do you mean by pluralism? And I think it's pretty simple. We would say that diversity in society is a fact. It's like saying there are 114 people in this room tonight. That's neither a good thing nor a bad thing. It's a statement of objective reality. But pluralism, for us, is a deliberate choice by governments, by civil society organizations like the FPA, by communities and individuals to accommodate and respect diversity in society. Now let me ask you a question. If the members of the FPA, I remember well because when we lived here before, we had the great pleasure of attending FPA events and learned a great deal from them and had a very good time doing so. But the members of the FPA are a pretty sophisticated group. So if I were to ask you to name the big global challenges of the 21st century, your top list might include climate change, nuclear proliferation, the alleviation of poverty, human rights and democracy, and a sound global financial system. To these, His Highness would add the challenge of living together productively with difference. And why is pluralism, in our view, so urgently needed in today's world? Well, to be blunt, the trends are very troubling. Stephen Toop, the incoming president of my alma mater, Cambridge University, argues that we are entering a new age of anxiety. A tide of nationalist populism, nativism, intolerance, and even xenophobia is sweeping across Europe. It may yet upend European politics. Fascinating analysis by The Economist magazine of the Brexit vote shows that fear of immigrants and refugees, not economic dislocation and hardship, was the crucial factor. And the United States, that great beacon of hope and opportunity for the entire world, is not immune, and nor is my country, Canada. I think that fear of the accelerated pace of change, fear of those who are different, and fear of the future propel this wave. And as these developments roil Western societies, in the developing world, the challenges of living together with diversity are endemic and often lead to violent conflict over access to land and water, or to economic opportunities, or to sharing political power, or the right to practice one's faith, or to maintain one's language and culture. This is true of Africa and Asia, as well as the Americas. Think of Iraq and Syria, where sectarian and ethnic differences have in part been the cause of tragedy. And I'm delighted that my old friend Jean-Marie Guéhenno, who was Undersecretary General of the United Nations for Peacekeeping, is here tonight. Think back to the former Yugoslavia, to Sri Lanka, and to Rwanda, and consider the terrible depths to which ethnic conflict can descend. Now, maybe a word about Canada. Several people have been kind enough to ask me about our Prime Minister. And I would just say Canada is far from perfect. But the Aga Khan would argue that it is the most successful country in respecting its great ethnic, cultural, and linguistic diversity and harvesting the benefits of that diversity. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said, "Our diversity isn't a challenge to be overcome or a difficulty to be tolerated. Rather, it is a tremendous source of strength. Canadians understand that diversity is our strength. We know that Canada has succeeded culturally, politically, economically, because of our diversity, not in spite of it." The Global Centre for Pluralism is really a unique private-public partnership between a global philanthropist, His Highness the Aga Khan, and the Government of Canada. As Alex said, its mission as an applied knowledge organization is to promote understanding of the principles and practices of pluralism around the world and to share that knowledge and those experiences with others through research, education, and dialogue. To cite just one of the Centre's exciting new initiatives, in November we will confer the first Global Pluralism Awards that will celebrate pluralism in action around the world. And on May 16th, His Highness and the Governor-General of Canada will officially open our global headquarters, a major heritage building on the Ceremonial Boulevard in Ottawa, our capital. And I invite you all to come. We would love to see you there. And in the meantime, take a look at our website and engage with our work online. So, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, pluralism needs champions and supporters. It is really under assault. And by conferring this prestigious medal on His Highness, the FPA is giving important recognition and profile to the cause. We are very sincerely grateful. And to paraphrase that wonderful old line from Casablanca, I hope that this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Thank you very much.